So I'm going to turn my attention to the quarter column area of the desk now. So the way you make it is to glue up 4 pieces of 1¼ inch cherry and then put the base, turn the base on there and or capital, and then cut the shape. So in preparation for doing that, I glued up 4 pieces of 1¼ inch, and I'm going to try something here. So what I did is I took the cutoffs from the front of the chest to match the grain, or the front of the desk, and then match the grain, added 7/16 here to make it 1¼ inch, and glued them together so that this one and this one should match the left and right side. So I'm making an attempt to match the grain for this piece right here. This side should match the grain of the side of the desk. So we'll see how that works out. So I put paper in between the 4 pieces with some hide glue. We're letting that glue up there, and then we're going to do some turning. So then I got to make the same thing for the quarter columns themselves, the fluted quarter columns. So here's 4 pieces of cherry that I cut that are 1¼ inch. They're 24 inches long, which is the length, longer than the length that I need. This will be completely round, each being, I only need 2 of them, so there'll be a spare 2, so we'll pick the 2 best. But the way I do it to put them together is you put a single piece of craft paper and glue it between the 2, and another single piece of craft paper between these 2, and then glue it together. Then we have a double piece of craft paper that goes here, and then we glue them together like that. And then once the glue is dry, again I use the hide glue, then I'll turn it round, and then before we take it apart, I'll put in the flutes. Well, I'm doing a little turning today, so I'm attempting to make this pattern here. This would be the capital that goes on the top of the quarter column, and then the base, which I'm going to do just like that, goes on the bottom. So what I started to do here was turn a pommel, a square, a straight-edged pommel, which I had to do twice to get it decent. I got to get 2 out of this piece of glued up cherry. I'll just take my gauge and check the diameter. Well, I got it turned here. I had 1 catch while I was turning it, and I don't know if you can see it, but there's a dent in the wood there. So this one's not usable, but there's 3 others that are just fine. So here's that's not it. Here's a sample of what the quarter column will be. So it has to fit onto the base here like so. So you could pretend that's the base or the capital, as the case may be. So this is pretty good. So it needs to be cut off here, and then I've got to repeat the process at that other end. So a little more practice turning. Well, I've got the base here, and the capitals are here. We need a quarter column in between, something like that. And so this has to be cut off up here, and then I have to make this crazy joint here for the slope in the lid there. But tomorrow I think what I'm going to do is turn the quarter column itself and flute it. So we'll get to that. So today I'm putting the flutes into the quarter columns. I don't know if you can see down in here, but I've got 3 on here already. And if you've watched some of my earlier videos, you've seen me use this box before. Again, I had to modify it a little bit for the length and diameter of this particular one. But I've got a 3/16 inch bit in here, and it's all marked out. So there's one side done. I don't know if you can see it there. So they're evenly spaced flutes here on the quarter column, and they could be a little deeper and rounder at the bottom, but I've got a device for sliding it along here and making them deeper and rounding them over. Again, in one of my earlier videos where I made the quarter columns, I showed using that scratch stock. So that'll be next, but I'll put in the rest of them going around here, and then again add some depth and the round bottoms to them. Well, now that I got the basic onto the quarter columns, so now I have this scratch stock that I made years ago that has the round bottom on it, and so it rides in the same size as the router, and it rides in the groove here. And it does a pretty good job. So this is the result of our making the quarter column. So we have the base here, which I haven't snapped apart yet, but there's 4 of them on there. I need 2. Then the actual column here, which you saw me put the flutes in there and use the scratch stock to make them a little deeper around the bottoms. This is longer than I need, so I actually have to cut it off about here, and of course it has to be cleaned up. And then this is the capital, and I made the joint on here already. You'll see that in the next video, but this is then the top of the quarter column, so we got 2 extra ones of those. So that's it for today.